Okay guys, for today's video, I will be backtesting this insane high win rate Tradingview indicator for scalping crypto, Forex, stock, and gold, created by SwitchStats. I will be backtesting it 200 times, with an initial account size of $1,000. Please make sure to like, share, and subscribe if you want us to keep backtesting more online strategies. Okay guys, we are currently looking at the Bitcoin United States dollar tether, and we will be back testing the strategy on the 30 minutes time frame. So let's quickly go over the indicators we are using for this strategy. Make sure you watch the video till the end, as you might probably get something out of it. Now for the first indicator, bring up the indicator panel. I want you to search for the MA ribbon or 2 by just Uncle L. This is going to be our first indicator. This indicator plots and color codes a ribbon between two moving averages. The color of the ribbon changes with trend direction. When the price is in an uptrend, ribbon color is green. When the price is in a downtrend, ribbon color is red. Now, for the second indicator, let's search for the ATR Smoothed by Sell version by Gickroth. And we would be adding this to our charts. And for the last indicator, let's search for the MACD4C by Vicno422. Now we have our chart looking like this. Let's now go ahead and make some adjustments on this settings, as we would be applying exactly the settings the owner of the strategy used in order to figure out how profitable this strategy could be. Now for the first indicator, double-click on the MA ribbon by just Uncle L. On the input, I want you to change the fast MA length from 50 to 10, as that's all we would be changing on the input. And for the style, I want you to increase the opacity for the fast MA, for color 0 and color 1 for better visualization. And also, increase the opacity for slow MA for better visualization as well. When you are done, go ahead and click on the OK button. Now for the second indicator, go ahead and double-click on the ATR Smoothed by Sell. On the style, I want you to untick the ATR. Now head over to the inputs and change the period to 2, then change the multiplier to 9, as well as changing the smooth to 200. When you are done, don't forget to click on the OK button. And lastly, the MACD. I want you to double-click on it and bring up the indicator panel. On the inputs, I want you to change the fast-moving average from 12 to 20, as the slow-moving average would not be touched. Now head over to the style. I want you to increase the opacity for the zero line for better visualization. And when you are done, go ahead and click on the OK button. Now we have our chart looking like this. Let us now go ahead and go over the rules for a valid buy and sell signal before we head over to our back testing, as well as ranking the strategy on our spreadsheet in order to enable you decide whether to trade the strategy or not. Please, before we move on, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, as it really helps the channel's growth. Okay guys, the rules for entry are really easy. According to the creator of the strategy, we would enter a valid buy signal if the ribbon changes to green as our first confirmation. Then we would want to wait till we see a buy label on the chart before we move on to place a buy stop order at the peak of the trigger candlestick. But only if we have the histogram colored in green before we enter the trade. So we see we met all our conditions here, as we can see that we had the ribbon change to green at this point. We can also see we got our buy label at this point as well, before we move on to place a buy stop order at the peak of this trigger candlestick, because as we can see as well, we have the MACD histogram on green. We would then set the stop loss at the recent swing low, while the take profit will be 2 times our risk. And we can see that it was successful. Okay. So here is another buy trade we would have taken. As we can see, we have our conditions met at this point. We have our ribbon in green as well as having our buy label on this candlestick, and we can also see that we have the MACD histogram on green. So we will go ahead and place a buy stop order at the peak of this candlestick. Our stop loss is at the recent swing low and take profit levels at 2 times the risk, and we see it was also successful. Now exactly the opposite is true for a short trade. We would enter a valid sell signal if the ribbon changes to red as our first confirmation. Then we would want to wait till we see a red label on the chart before we move on to place a sell stop order at the bottom of the trigger candlestick. But only if we have the histogram colored in red before we enter the trade. So we see we met all our conditions here, as we can see that we had the ribbon change to red at this point. We can also see we got our sell label at this point as well, before we move on to place a sell stop order at the bottom of this trigger candlestick. Because we can see we have the MACD histogram on red. We would then set the stop loss at the recent swing high, while the take profit will be 2 times our risk. And we can see that it was successful. Okay guys, let's go over one more example to better make you understand the full application to this strategy, as it is easy and beginner friendly. Here is also another sell trade we would have taken. We can see we have our conditions met at this point. We have our ribbon in red, as well as having our sell label on this candlestick. And we can also see that we have the MACD histogram on red. So we will go ahead and place a sell stop order at the peak of this candlestick, and our stop loss is at the recent swing high. While take profit levels at 2 times the risk, and we see it was also successful. Okay traders, let's now quickly backtest this strategy, as we would be going over 200 trades and risking 1% of our account size on each trade. Let's dive into it. Okay guys, so we just finished the backtesting for this strategy. And we can see the results are not quite impressive. Just expect to get drawdowns, as you could start trading when the strategy is not performing well. We can see we had a win rate of 40%. Having 180 and lost 120 trades, we could see we made 40% return on investment. And I found those trade setups within a year and 8 months. Although commissions and spread fees would eat up some of the profit in real trading, because it was not included in the backtest. So you definitely want to expect that number to be lower when trading life. The profit factor for this strategy is really not impressive, as we had 5 wins in a row against 11 losses in a row. I am not trying to mock anybody, but this strategy is not worth the time. Okay traders, that's it for today. Don't forget to check the spreadsheet to see amazing strategies back tested on this channel. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.